Sure. Hot topic for the week. You got 2 minutes.
So I'm going to talk briefly just about the disparity in how we're seeing Russian athletes being treated globally in different sports. So we talked recently about Wimbledon and the fact that we won't see players participating there. However, last night, and perhaps because of the magnitude of the event, Saul Canelo Alvarez, who is probably the greatest boxer presently, probably has the biggest audience in terms of a current fighter. He was fighting on Cinco de Mayo against Dmitry Bivol, who is originally from Kazakhstan. Well, he's from Kazakhstani family and grew up in, but he grew up in Russia from around the age of 12. He, I think, considers himself Kyrgyzstani, as that would be his preference. But he was able to fight last night in Las Vegas, and there was no issue in terms of sanctioning him or preventing him from fighting. I don't think there was ever any discussion of it. The only thing which they actually had on the night was while they played the Mexican national anthem, they didn't play the Russian national anthem, which I think was just a kind of almost a petty slight because they'd already made it okay for him to compete. And it seems to be sports globally are taking very different stances. And let's say if a government of a country is taking one stance, you would think that the sports would either follow suit or all not follow suit. And it's very difficult, I think, for an athlete to be put in that position where obviously afterwards questions were being asked. A lot of media commentary today has been about the fact that there are concerns that his victory over such a huge global name in a sport will be used in the coming days as a kind of a show of Russian victory on a global platform. And people are asking things that aren't the right question to ask of an athlete in that context because they don't control what way their victories are used in terms of a national to almost a national celebration or in terms of, national pride in an event. And also his family are still living in Russia. They're in St. Petersburg. So it's very difficult to ask an athlete to have a stance either way. But I think the concern I have is that if we have different sports taking different approaches, it's very difficult for athletes to know where they stand, whether they should obviously travel, in the case of someone like a combat sport athlete, travel outside Russia for an extended period for their camp prior to competing, and not knowing what way these things will go. So I suppose my thought would be it's going to be interesting to see if we continue to have this differing approach from different sports and at what point this ends. And sports have to make a judgment call on allowing athletes who are not necessarily doing anything that is promoting what Russia are doing, but rather are just competing in their job. And at what point this is...
Well, look, Lisa, the one thing is that, like, as you know, the athletes, even in team sports, they compete for themselves. I mean, you'd have the best team player in a soccer team, and I've played alongside them, and they would slit your throat to get a new contract. And that always surprised me. I couldn't understand that where guys would, when I was like trying to play for a contract in Canada, and the guy was playing me offside, and I didn't see that every true ball he played was slightly late. So I made my run, and I was caught offside, and then the coach said to me, "You need to work on your offside. I don't know if we're going to sign you." So